What made you decide that it was time to do a greatest hits album?
You have to look at greatest hits album in a way as a recapping of an era, a closing of a chapter, whatever you want to say. And a lot of times people do them after they've either peaked or they want to call it a day or whatever. And we were looking at it more the way Dylan with Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. And after a 10-year period, I think it was best to think that this is the end of a chapter. You know, let's look back fondly on everything from Runaway through Keep the Faith as an album, and we did.
Does this greatest hits album signify a new chapter for the band?
This greatest hits record, it's the end of something and the beginning of something else. I think it's like an evolution, a mark, in the band's career, in the band's life. Of a lot of different things, maturity, sensibility, that we're still together.
There's been so many good moments in this band through the years. We've accomplished way more than we ever dreamed we could or would. It's much bigger than your wildest fantasies. The important thing is that we remained friends.
John, you and Dave have known each other a long time. How did you meet?
I've known Dave since I was 16 and 32 now, so half my life. He was in a band with me, or we were in a band together, however you want to look at it, called the Atlantic City Expressway, which we were, underage kids playing bars. And we did everything from having to do our homework in bars and lying about our age to sitting next to the exit doors in places like the Stone Pony, because when the bar owner found out that we were too young to be there, he wanted to kill himself and the agent who booked us, but we were drawing enough people that he had to let us play. So between sets, we couldn't even have a glass of water because he didn't want anybody thinking it was booze. So we decided to stay at good places that would serve us booze.
When you're putting together a collection like this, Living on a Prayer would be top of the list?
Prayer was an obvious choice. I mean, it was, as a band, the biggest single that we'd ever had. It was a song that related to a lot of people in a lot of ways, walks of life.
That was a good one.
I think everybody has felt like that song. Everybody almost can relate to that. Somehow when you hit a groove lyrically like that it hits everybody, that almost everybody has felt that particular emotion in their life. Like, things ain't going that good, but we got each other and we're going to make it. And it's that moment of optimism. I think that everybody goes through that once or twice in their life. So everybody related to Tommy and Gina, I think, which was kind of cool. I know I did.
Keep the Faith's modern sound owes a lot to the Rolling Stones and the classics of the 60s.
In Keep the Faith, we sat down to rewrite a socially conscious lyric with sympathy for the devil. To tell you the truth, it was really the Animals, and
it was just a different groove.
And it was just let's go really back to what we loved, which was those kinds of things. Who didn't wish they wrote Sympathy for the Devil? And those great Animals classics, which we've been trying to rip off for years. And
we both had that title too. See, we both had it like on our list somehow. We both had that title. It's just
I stole it from him. I just looked over his shoulder.
You did you?
But it was one of those kind of things where that song needed to be said. And there was a real risk writing a song like that and considering it an album title and a single and it's such a statement to make when people wanted you to write Bad Medicine again. And you said, no, it's not what we're going to do. It was more important than Keep the Faith to say something, and we did.
One of the two new tracks on Crossroad is Someday I'll Be Saturday Night. Can you tell us a bit about that?
When we went down there to Mystique, there was this great little grass shack, and we would just go swimming in the ocean and enjoying everything. And this title came up, and we started to work on it, and it's actually been rewritten 4 different ways. But it's a pretty neat, socially relevant song, and
optimistic.
in a rather negative time.
The other new song on Crossroad is Always. It was originally intended for another soundtrack, I believe.
Always has been recorded now twice. I wrote it for a film called Romeo is Bleeding, and I had gotten the script and really loved both the title and the idea that it was a Gary Oldman movie, who I'm a big fan of, and read this script and said, I have to be the guy that writes this. And after Blaze of Glory, I wanted to do something else right away, and it was this. So we recorded it on the road. You know, we had Pino Palladino play bass, and it was electric drums, and Dave played a little piano, Richie played a little bit of guitar. But it was a really different production. It was made for a movie, and it was going to be a solo thing for this film. And it was very good, but the film wasn't. And so we pulled it from the film, and though we loved the song, didn't feel it was even right for the next band record, because it has a beginning, a middle, and an end as an album, and it was so good that it would work best on this greatest hits record. And so we re-recorded it as a band, rearranged it as a band.
How far back does the song Wanted Dead or Alive go?
Wanted Dead or Alive, I remember in '85 we were on the road with Rat. For some reason, at least from my memory, is that I couldn't sleep, and this one day it was like at dawn, and I, for the first time, heard this one song on the radio, and it hit home. And I remember being at Richie's mother's house that afternoon, and we sat down to write this song called Wanted Dead or Alive, and I told him this title, and then he just came up with that riff, and that was boom, boom, boom. We wrote that song in very quickly. We wrote 2 songs that day, start to finish, before dinner.
Yes.
Before it's like
and I was
6
allowed
o'clock
to eat after
dinner.
that.
So we'd leave the basement around dinner time, and then, you know, I'd go back to our mother's houses because we still didn't have any money after 2 albums or any place to live. So we had to be nice to our parents still. But it was an easy song to write, because I guess it was so personal to us, you know, it was so just right on.
Yeah, just about being on the road and the experiences. It just was just what we knew, what we did.
What can you tell us about Lay Your Hands on Me?
Lay Your Hands on Me. We were in the studio recording Jersey, and it was real quick because we wrote it in Vancouver in the studio, which was a little rare for us to go into the studio and write a song. We've done it on a couple, but not to any great extent. With that one, again, Richie had a riff, and I came up with a title, and one thing led to another, and, you know, we just tuned the E string down to D, and before you knew it, that was that. It was a quick song to write.
Definitely.
And it's funny because, again, I remember sitting around with, like, Kurt Marvis, who had done a lot of our videos, and he said, this song's going to be a big hit. And I went, look, I'll bet you anything you want. This is just a, you know, silly rock song. You know, I sort of like it, but no big deal. Next thing you knew, it was
worked.
People really like it live, and it was a big single and all that kind of. It was just a surprise.
Yeah, it's a good tough groove too.
Yeah, it's a good song.
And a good way to start off the record, you know, with the intro to it, so it made something that tied in the live.
Accentuating the keyboard player, I might add.
Thank you.
I forgot about that intro.
Thank you.
Big organ solo. Big organ solo.
What happens after the organ? Oh no,
Bass solo.
You Give Love a Bad Name sounds like it was fun to make, was it?
Bad Name, I think was fun because we wrote that in Richie's mother's basement. The Slippery, every album was written in each other's houses is how it revolved. But that one was written in the basement there, and we got together with Desmond because we were both silly enough to think that after our second album, Going Gold, now we had 2 gold albums, and guys like Bryan Adams were becoming successful writing songs for other people. Well, we wanted to do that too, and we thought, well, we have 2 gold albums, we must be huge.
Aspiring songsters.
We didn't really know how to go about it, so our A&R guy said, well, there's this guy, and he, you know, what you do is you got to get out there and you got to work those songs. You got to get them to their publishers, to their managers, and of course we couldn't do that. We were in the midst of writing the Slippery album. And so we said, okay, well, we'll get together with this guy, and his kid, Loverboy needs a song. Okay, and so we write this song. Liked it a little bit too much and decided that...
They ain't no get it, this song.
Don't give that one away.
Yeah.
Loverboy, you no get it, that song.
How personal a song is Bed of Roses to you?
I wrote Bed of Roses in a hotel room initially. It was during the time between, you know, the Young Guns record and the Keep the Faith album. And I was in L.A. working on an Aldo Nova record, and was sitting in a hotel and asked Paul Corzelius, who was our road manager at the time, to see if there was this wedding that was going on down over the balcony, if they'd bring the piano up to my room when they were done. And I went out that night and got way too in trouble and was hurting the next day, but was determined to do some writing. And instead of putting the pencil down, which is what you do 99 out of 100 times, I actually wrote down that lyric, that's trying to capture a moment, but this morning I don't know. And the truth of the matter was I was incredibly hungover. And I wrote that verse and finally stopped playing. And I played about a dozen songs for a guy named Danny Korchmar, who helped me do the Young Guns record as well as a bunch of other records that I did. But the 13th thing I played him was those verses. And he says, well, you got a couple good ones here, but you gotta pull that song out of you. You gotta finish that one. And he made me go home and write that one. And of course, I'm really glad that I went home and forced myself to finish it, because it was such a big hit. But it was a very personal song too. A lot of problems were exposed in that.
John, your solo hit Blaze of Glory turns up here too.
When I had to play it live at the Academy Awards, the best thing to do was to get the band together again. So we put the band together again. So the band came in, and everybody came to the Academy Awards with me to appear, on the show. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the night immensely.
That was a fun gig.
Yeah, a couple billion people were viewing that.
Live.
What do you remember of the New Jersey album, and in particular Bad Medicine?
I remember with that one, Desmond Child's a co-writer on that one, and what happened was we had that song written, we rehearsed it, we demoed it, it was ready to go, and he came in and had recommended the idea of the chords to "That's What You Get for Falling in Love," that part, right? And he says, what do you think about adding this as a B section as opposed to what you guys have? And I says, no. He said, well, why not? I said, because we know it's a #1 song. We're going to end up giving you a piece of it. And that's the truth of the matter. But we did it for the sake of the song, and so we gave him a piece of the action on it.
Staying with New Jersey, can you tell us a bit about I'll Be There For You?
I'll Be There For You was written post-parenting, and we had our own houses at that point. It was after the Slippery album. It was the beginning of New Jersey, and that was written in my place.
And we were cooked.
Yeah, it was late at night. It was very late at night. It was a little bit influenced by a John Lennon kind of a vibe, and I remember when we finished that one, we knew we had a very good one. It was personal probably to both of us in different ways, and made it a Bon Jovi song that way. But we knew it was a very special song. It wasn't hard to write.
Yeah, I think that's another subject lyrically, and another emotion that everybody kind of feels like. Sometimes, you're in a relationship and you screw up, or you do something wrong, and then you're going, but you know what? When it comes down to it, I'm there.
How do you feel about the earlier songs now, like In and Out of Love?
In and Out of Love, that's really truly what it is. I mean, it's just a goofy little song that I wrote in early 1985 after our first tour. I mean, what an amazing experience we just had. We toured the world.
We were happy.
Man, were we happy?
We were emaciated.
Yeah.
Yeah, you come home and you go, boy, I had a great time. You weigh about 4 pounds, you have no money.
Your mother cries. You walk through the door. I remember my mother looking at you and says,
I was gone for a year, Mom.
It was great.
In and out of love, Ma.
Oh, yeah, I wrote that at my parents' house. I remember where I, sitting on the steps with my stereo blasting in my room and the TV downstairs blaring and nobody home, and sat on the steps and wrote that one. And just laughing about 1984. I mean, what an experience. It was amazing.
In These Arms went through a few incarnations before it became what we know it as now.
In These Arms was something that had to be written and rewritten. David and I originally wrote it. It was called Changing Water into Wine. And
which we're trying.
We've been trying.
Watch this.
We got both right here.
Look at that.
It's gonna do something.
Dang, it worked.
And it was a great verse. And the chorus just never worked, no matter how many times we tried to rewrite it and work on it, rework it. And then Richie and I got together out at the beach and came up with that. And we finally went in, like, at the very end of the Keep the Faith record.
Yes.
We were about 6 months into the recording of Keep the Faith. And we put these two songs together. And that's how that song actually ended up working. It was funny. because we wrote this song called in These Arms, and we had these verses from this change, and we put it together and went,
It worked.
there you go. That's finally what it should have been. And that was a weird one, because it really was last minute.
We never did that together, like a
No, never
sandwich
did.
thing.
Yeah,
It came
never.
from one song into another song. It was
Never did that.
the three of us put a nice sandwich together.
Yeah.
I believe Tokyo Road was written about starting to find success with your first album.
Tokyo Road was like written out of respect because we were the biggest at that particular time. At the end of the first album, when we went to Japan on tour, we, they treated us like we were the Beatles. There was like, there's people waiting for us at the airport, and it was just that we were, giving us presents and emphatic fans, like just and it was something that we kind of put together for them, especially.
And we were just so blown away because here we were being reacted to like you thought Beatlemania was and all that kind of thing. But what was funny is we went back there on the beginning of the Fahrenheit album, and we took all our girlfriends with us at the time. We said, now listen, when we get through customs here, it's going to get really crazy. There's tons of people going to be here, dolls made of us, all this craziness. We walked out, there's nobody there. There's no reaction from anybody.
A bum waiting for the train with a whistle.
Yeah, they're
That's
going,
it, that's
you guys are really big here. And that compounded with when we realized that no matter who you were in 1985, you got reacted to big there. So we were really goofy. We had no idea. But the Japanese audience as a whole has been really good to us for a lot of years, and they've remained that way, which is pretty cool.
Now, for some countries, another version of Living on a Prayer is on the album Crossroad.
Prayer 94, I guess we should, refer to it as.
It kind of like as an unplugged
Somewhat.
version.
It's different because we did it unplugged, we did it that way, and we always talked if we did a live album, we would include that unplugged-ish version of it. But while we were in Nashville, we hired this drum programmer to come up with to program this idea that we gave him. And we said, let's try it this way, completely different, no bass, minimal guitars, minimal keyboards, and 2 vocals, and it's just a very different version of a great lyric. And we wanted to experiment with it and update it and reintroduce a song that a lot of people knew. It came out so good, we decided to use it on this thing. We said, it'll be a B-side. Who knows? We'll maybe use it or not. We liked it so much, we insisted that it be on it.
The song now essentially has a different spirit in a way. It's
Completely different song, isn't it?
It's the lyric comes across, as John says, so much more, but it's just a serious kind of. The lyric is more serious now, so it has a different spirit.
And finally, what are your plans for a new album?
As far as the new album is concerned, it's written and we're ready to start it, and which will be very soon, and it'll be out in the spring when we will tour relentlessly again.